Hello, my name is Madison Murphy Barney. Welcome back to the Entangled Health Podcast, and thank you for spending some time with me today. Um, we at the Center for Story and Strategy are just so glad to have you in the tangle with us. So today, we're going to talk about how storytelling is strategy and how to base organizational strategy off of the lived experience of communities and staff to create a future that has buy-in and impact and transformation and all of the things that we all are working tirelessly toward every day. And so, my big shtick is that strategy without story is just a guess. Storytelling is what gives us the roadmap to build futures that people actually have trust in and believe in and want to come along with us on. And so, to kick us off, I wanted to share one example of things gone wrong in not listening to folks. So maybe you've heard in Massachusetts, the hospitals have systemically ignored nurses' repeated warnings about unsafe staffing ratios, and this is leading to a cascade of failures that directly compromise patient safety and have pushed many nurses out of the profession. So, according to the 2024 State of Nursing in Massachusetts, 80% of nurses said the hospital care quality has deteriorated over the past 2 years, with many nurses seeing vacancies remaining unfilled, and leading to an increased use of travel nurses. And 4 in 10 nurses said they would not feel safe admitting a family member to the unit in which they work. Um, and so the core of this problem is hospitals' like clear decision to ignore frontline staff input. 62% of nurses said that administrators are not responsive to their feedback, and 47% say management rarely or never adjusts their patient loads to meet patients' needs. So that's up 20 points from the similar survey in 2019. So last year, the M&A showed more than 12,600 unsafe staffing forms filed statewide over 18 months to lawmakers. And these forms documented instances in which nurses were forced to take on excessive patient assignments that, of course, like pose threat. So instead of addressing staff ratios that nurses identified as critical, hospitals implemented app-based and remote nursing strategies that nurses overwhelmingly reject. And 59% of nurses said they're not interested in using an app to work as an independent contractor without benefits. Um, and 61% they believe remote nursing is quite bad for patient care. And the hospital strategy just like completely bypassed the people actually delivering care, and these people, as we learn from these their feedback and things and all of these reports is that they are more than willing to share about their experiences and support the hospital in informing and creating a strategy that is safe for patients, safe for staff, safe for all. And um, the results of this have been really devastating. So 75% of nurses have seen RN positions left vacant or unfulfilled, and 76% of nurses say that, the place they're working is not acting on unsafe staffing problems. And this, of course, leads to widespread labor unrest. Um, and Brigham and Women's Hospital voted 99.37% in favor of a strike over wages, benefits, and staffing levels. So the reason I bring this up is that it demonstrates how healthcare organizations' failure to like actually include frontline staff in strategic decisions about care delivery has created exactly the same problems they were trying to avoid. It's also compromised patient safety, caused staff shortages, and like really costly labor disputes that could have been prevented by listening to people who understand the realities of patient care. Nobody knows the realities of patient care like the people caring for patients. And I understand that like healthcare is in a meta crisis and that there are many considerations where it's like we can't just, you know, like um not every problem is as easy as like, okay, just like hire more nurses and pay them a fair wage. It's more complex than that, but like the people on the ground and like they are begging to be listened to and have come up with numerous strategies that they see as like would be important, and they just are like waiting to be listened to, and have cited over and over how management has rarely, if ever, listens to those complaints and to what needs to change, and made decisions informed on their expertise of the frontline workers. Um, and so that's going to transition us into, yeah, like why storytelling is strategy. Um, so like when we try to create strategy without stories of the people who are included in the strategy. So for if we think like of a common strategic plan, there's strategy that involves like staff strategy, like what they're going to do to build up, and then also like strategy for impact and fundraising. And in order to create that strategy, it seems common sense, but is so rare. We need to listen to everybody who's going to be impacted by that strategy, and everybody whose buy-in we need to like come along on that strategy journey with us. Like you're like if you're going to make a okay, you've just hired somebody and you're making a 5-year strategic plan, that person, if they're going to dedicate 5 years to this organization, like they deserve to have buy-in in the strategy process. Like this is a pretty big chunk of their career. And similarly, like if they have buy-in in that, then they're more likely to champion it. And also, if the communities they serve have buy-in, then the things that your staff is championing are also things that the community you serve are like, we're down for that. That's what we want. That's what we need. That meets our need. And I think so often, like folks are like, oh, but our goals would have to change in this, that, and the other thing. And one, like, to be honest, like your goals should change in reaction to like what the people you're responsible for serving and the people doing that work need and want and desire. Like that should inform your goals. But two, like oftentimes it's like, okay, the organization as a whole can move where it wants to go. It's just the strategy part of the how we get there has to be informed by the people who will be impacted by it and by the people who will be implementing it. There is just like no way around it. There's no way to make an effective strategy without it. There's no way to like do like a checkbox like, oh yeah, I think we did that. We asked a few people. Like we're not doing that. Um we can't do that. We shouldn't do that. We're not doing that because like it's never, I mean, we've all, I imagine, been a part of or heard about processes where it's like we made the strategic plan and no one has touched it. We've made the strategic plan. We spent so long on it and like who knows where we're going. It's like if you want to know where you're going and if you want to know who's coming with you, you have to have story-based strategy. Story has to be like the foundation of your strategy. It builds trust, it brings people with you. There's no way around it. It's just good policy making. And then like additionally, it's like I don't know, I see storytelling as like this just like ecosystem that like feeds and feeds and feeds, like a recycling system sort of is like it's like okay, so you have great story that builds great strategy. That story then also with that strategy, you're like making more impact. And then you have the stories of that impact that you can like send to funders and donors and grant reports and to the community. And then like that builds more goodwill and more funding and more capacity for great work. And then you use those stories to further implement like an informed strategy and refine strategy and make it more beautiful and wonderful. And you just keep going for and ever and ever and like you don't hit the hiccups of organizations who are just like, we are these 5 people in a room going to create a strategy and everyone's going to want to come along with us. Like I'm one of 6 children. When my other siblings made plans of like I can't even imagine what like the mutiny would have been if just one of us just woke up one day and we're like, this is what we're all doing today. I'm taking the only car we have to do it. Come on, everybody. Like no, like there would be like protest and like slammed doors. And it's just like you have if you want everyone to come with you on your great journey where you see your vision and you want greatness, greatness requires the people to get in the car with you. Like or there's gonna be all these like fits and like disagreements and conflicts and all these things that are gonna like yank you off track and you're never gonna be able to just drive out of the driveway altogether. Whereas if like say in that sibling example, I like listen to everybody and I'm like, okay, you want this today, you want this today, you want this today, cool. Da 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 da. Here's our plan. We're all doing it. Great. Everybody in the car. Here's your snacks. Buckle your seatbelt. Let's go. You get a lot more let's go energy when you listen to people rather than being like, I have decided that I, a stranger, am the expert in your life and just follow me, trust me. And it's like, why would I trust you? You just came in and said you know more about my life than I know about my life. Like, what about that is trust? I have nothing. Why would I trust that? Like, I'm going to trust somebody who comes in and like spends time together and then is like, I think we should do this together based on what I know about you and what I care about you. And again, in this whole process of story gathering, you are also then creating things for your comms team to like tell about, sing from the mountaintops about the beauty of your organization. And then similarly, your staff is like, oh yeah, thanks to the storytelling and like now I can create and the strategy that it made, like that we created with it. Now I'm creating programs that people actually want to come to because we listen to them. And now I feel more connected to my job. And now I'm not on LinkedIn every day looking for another job. I am here. I am present. I want to do this. It saves everybody. Well-designed storytelling, which I am more than happy to design with you. That's what I do. It's what I love. It's what I think about all the time. It's what I talk about all the time. That's why the Center for Story and Strategy exists. Like, this is what we do. Um, it just like cleans everything up. You know what I mean? It's just like a little bit, honestly, like sometimes it feels like a magic wand where you're just like, okay, so like all these things feel hard and we don't know what to do. And it's like, okay, well, if you listen to people, suddenly you will know what to do and they will all know what to do and everybody will feel more connected to the work that you do, more likely to do it. And when that cohesion is there, people are going to want to fund the work you do. People do fund the work you do. Um, so like, it becomes this sort of like listen, design, move line. Like we just go listen and then we design and then we move. And then in that movement, for that whole time that we're moving, we have all of those stories that we can like turn into these like beautiful produced pieces and like all of these different things to like share out to the community, be like our impact. And so then as we're moving in the listen design move, more and more people are coming along with us. And then it's like we listen again because we have all this new buy-in in what we're doing and people excited about our programming. And then we like design based on that and then we move and then it's this beautiful little circle. And like, yes, there's conflict. Yes, there's like, we learn new things and we pivot from there. And like, that's work and that's life and that's what we're all here doing. But like, that baseline gets us so much closer, um, to where we want to go as opposed to just being like, I think this might. Um, and so I think that like part of this, because it sounds and is so simple and easy, um, it like can sound a little bit I think so often, what am I trying? I'm trying to say that like so often, um, like initiatives like storytelling are seen as like, oh, that's for the comms department, or oh, like that's, that's not that would be a nice to have, and we're in a moment where like we're only doing what's essential. And like there's nothing more essential. I promise you, there's nothing more essential than listening to the people in your organization and who your organization serves, listening to their stories and like listening to what they have to say, um, and designing from there. Like that is the most essential thing. It will save so much time, so much money, so much frustration. And it's one of those things that like I think so often storytelling gets this like, how would we do that? Like da da da. And it's like it can be so simple when designed well, and it has to be designed well and with ethics in mind and um effectiveness in mind. And like again, if you want support with that, reach out. But like it um it can be that simple. It's not this like really complex, like in the weeds thing. It's like getting great stories that feed the organization, that move us in that listen, design, move circle, and like, and then the movement brings us to more listening and more designing and more. It's the way to grow. Like it'll just grow the organization. It'll send us on this spiral of like beautiful thing and like growing more wisdom. And it also like something so key about it. And the reason that it's like the best type of um like impetus for strategy is that it like brings about this curiosity because rather than being like, we have this initiative, we are doing it no matter what, like you get to ideate with people and you get to like build it together and figure it out together. And like that is so much more exciting than being like, really rigid and it has to happen this way. And if it doesn't, like it doesn't meet our strategy, it's like, well, if your strategy was built by the people who are going to be implementing it, then like it would meet everything you did would meet that strategy. Everything would be laddered up to that. And like you're moving, like you're going so much faster towards your goals than if you're like, I'm holding this rigidity and like can have no mindset of curiosity or possibility. Whereas like a listening mindset, a listening first mindset is like steeped in curiosity and possibility. And it's like, what might we do together? What might be possible? And then strategy sessions go from being this like huge drag to like, what am I going to do? Like, what is this to this like really beautiful generative process that like everybody comes along with. So I think that, like, I don't know. I don't know why strategy has become this like thing we do in a very boring way where it's like five people hunkered down in the room with like Cheez-Its and ginger ale. But like it does not need to be like that. It should be a generative process, a process of curiosity, creativity. Like the leading question of strategy is like, what might be possible? Like, why did we let go of that? And like, I think so often it's like, oh, because of, like we have to adhere to like these grant um deadlines and things like that. And it's like your grant funders will love nothing more than to see like, oh wow, now we're funding a program that people are really interested in. Now we're funding a program that the community is at consistently. Now we're seeing impact and change. Like your grant funders are hungry. And like all of your donors are hungry for the type of impact that comes when you listen first and design strategy from listening and from story. And so like you will be feeding them like the exact things that they are hoping for and that they wanted their like money and time and contribution to go to. And then again, it like also brings back staff and is like, this is why they got in the work. Like when you make story-based strategy, um, sorry, story-informed strategy, you are making exactly what like that sort of big sense of impact that you're being asked to do when somebody hands you the money and says, like, do what you said you're going to do. Like, then you're with story informed strategy, you're like actually able to do it as opposed to being like, I don't know, we like made this plan and, hope for the best, like cross your fingers. And it's like, what if you didn't have to cross your fingers? What if you didn't have to like be stressed or like hit and miss all the time and like try? And like, I love quality improvement. Like, I took this class in grad school. It was like rapid quality improvement. And I became like obsessive about it. And my friends would make fun of me because it was like a Friday morning class. And like most of them were like, we don't go to school on Fridays because adults don't have to do that. And I loved the class, talked about it all the time. People didn't want to hang out with me on Friday nights because they knew that they would have to hear about the quality improvement class. But I didn't care. I had a lot to say about it. And and so like I'm not saying that it's like, okay, you like set the strategy and then like it never, it can't be iterated and changed on. It's like that's the point of the story informed strategy is like it keeps iterating and changing and it keeps getting better based on what you're hearing. Um, and that trial and error becomes like informed and makes you more effective rather than just like trial and error for like what might stick to the wall. It's like, okay, it's already sort of sticking to the wall, but how can we get further and further and further and further? So it puts you on like non-story informed strategy is like you're just like lugging this cart behind you and just like trying to pull this strategy up a mountain for years at a time. And then story informed strategy is like you are like on a beautiful rocket ship, like jetpack situation, and it just keeps like it adds more like speed to that jetpack, but you already have your jetpack and you're not lugging your own, cart up the hill. Um, and so I think like there's just none of us have any business overlooking the like the key to like fully serving our communities, fully reconnecting with our staff and their purpose, and like building something that has everybody's buy-in so that we can actually move together and we like aren't just like pulling along and like that, you know that feeling of just being like yanking everything along just to like meet this certain goal. And it's like, well, what if the goal wanted to be met? Like when we create in this way and we design strategy in this way, like the goal wants to be met because the goal was created together. And like that sense of curiosity and like what might be possible, drives everything we do rather than like us shutting that down to be like, we can't look at it. It doesn't, the only thing that can be possible is our like really strict strategy that we made in the Cheez-Its and ginger ale, like big notepad room. Instead, it's just like, oh, we built something that like wants, it's like a living, breathing document that like wants to be alive and wants to just like, you know, happen. Um, and so, um, yeah, it's just like it's storytelling is not a nice to have. Storytelling is not like a fluff. Storytelling is not like a that's just for the comms team. It's like when we all have buy-in in storytelling, it's like every single part of our organization gets stronger. And like as you all know, we are not in a time where it's like hopefully we get the grant and like hopefully and then we'll try some things or like we can spend 3 years doing this and see if it works. Like we're in a time that they want that like is being asked for, we're being called upon to do like things so much more efficiently, so much faster with so much time less time. And like all of that can be done when we like lead from a place of story informed strategy. Like that's what makes that possible. We don't have time to like treat this as a nice to have. We only have a time to see this as like this is essential, this is how we move forward. This is how we move forward, loving what we're doing, being and like making actual real impact. Like look out your window, look at like any headline you've seen today. Like we don't have time to not be making an impact. We don't have time to not be like doing things with our community centered and protected and cared for. Like we like time is moving so fast. We have to go. We have to go together. We have to go with curiosity and we have to go with a jetpack and not with like a huge cart trailing behind us. And that's just the truest thing. Um, and so I have some assignments for you. One sort of small assignment for this week. And what I want you to do is look at your current strategic plan and highlight where stories from the community or staff shaped it and where they didn't, and like what might be possible in the coming months to remedy that. And if you want support on that, of course, reach out. You can reach me at mbarney@entangledhealth.com. It's the letter M, Barney@entangledhealth.com, and that'll all be in the show notes. And this is the type of work that we can do in a story lab session. I also have a model where it's like you'll have access to a number of trainings, and then we can meet twice a month as a group, and you can ask questions and listen to the answers to other people's questions. Because the thing is that none of our problems are unique, and the things that you are going through with your storytelling initiative or adding storytelling into your organization will be the same thing that others are. And so it's just like a great environment. I love um, those talks that we have. And so that's where you can get support. And then we can also, if you want to like start from scratch, we can, I have some retainer availability. And so, yeah, let's get you and the team, the brilliant team you work with, and the wise community you work alongside, like realigned, re-strategized, and like ready to go. Um, and do it in the way that has like the most impact and the most ease. That's the thing is like, I know that we all love hard work and do so much hard work, but like this doesn't have to be hard. Like we can let this part be easy so that we have the like time and like spaciousness and creativity to be able to just like go ahead and um like use that on other things and like add into like what we know is already working. And that's where our energy is needed right now, is in that creative space, knowing like, oh, our strategy is unlocked. We did it in the easiest way. We did it in the trust building way. We did it in the everyone's coming along with us way. Like, why, like that's the way to do it. And that's the only way to really have a strategy that like moves with everybody on board, buckled in, jetpacked. Um, so just remember, never forget that strategy that ignores story isn't a strategy. It's a speculation. It's a bunch of guesses that you're going to have to hold rigidly to, because if you get funding based on those guesses, like you're just going to have to be dragging everybody along. Um, and so I want to thank you for spending time together today. Thanks for joining me in the tangle, and um, welcome you to reach out, and would love to hear from you. And until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep on weaving and building more beautiful systems for us all to live in. Bye.